I ask the gods for release from this misery. The year-long watch I lie awake keeping on the roof of the Atreidae. Up above here like a dog. I am familiar now with the night stars' assembly, those brilliant dynasts which bring men summer and winter. Conspicuous in the heaven, I mark them closely as they fade, and the risings of others. And now, I am on watch for a beacon sign, a gleam of fire bringing word from Troy in report of its capture. Such is the power here of a woman whose heart in its hope plans like a man's. Whenever I find myself shifting my bed about at night, wet with dew, unvisited by dreams, because anxiety, instead of sleep, stands by my side to stop my eyes closing fast in slumber. And whenever I think to sing or to hum, taking this remedy from music against sleep, then I weep in lament for this house's misfortune. For it is not managed for the best, as it was before. Now, I wish for a happy release from misery when this fire in the dark has come with its good news. The beacon? The beacon! Greetings to you! You show daylight in the night in Argos to mark this good fortune. It is here! If Troy City is indeed captured as this flame so prominently announces, I shall dance! For I shall follow in my master's footsteps, now the beacon flame has released me, and good fortune with it! My real wish, however, when the house's lord has come, is to clasp his well-loved hands in mine. The rest, I keep silent. A great ox is treading on my tongue. But the house itself, if it formed a voice, would say this. I talk willingly to those of you who know. And for those who do not know, then I choose to forget.
10 years it is since the great war against Priam. Lord Menelaus and his brother, Agamemnon, honored by Zeus with their double throne and double scepter, the sturdy yoke pair of the Atreidae, sailed with a fleet of Argives from this land, 1,000 ships, an armada in support.
Their loud and ringing cry was of war, from anger, like birds of prey which, in extreme anguish for their young, wheel and spiral high above their nests, soaring with their wings, lamenting the labour of raising nestling chicks, lost.
On high, someone either Apollo or Pan or Zeus hears the birds' wailed lament, the sharp cry of these settlers in their homes, and for the transgressors' later punishment, sends a fury.
In just this way, the mighty Zeus who guards hospitality sends Atreus' sons against Paris, because of a woman with many husbands. to make many bouts of wrestling heavy on the limbs as the knee falls in the dust and the spear shatters for Greeks and Trojans alike.
Things are now as they are. They will be fulfilled in what is fated. Neither burnt sacrifice nor libation of offerings without fire will soothe intense fury away.
Ourselves, distracted by our aged bodies, left behind the supporting force then, we are waiting, our childlike strength moving upon staffs. The sap of youth, when it rules in our breast, has gone, and war is not in its place. So extreme old age, its leaf now withering, goes on its three-footed way and is no better than a child, a dream appearing and wandering by day.
You now, daughter of Tyndareus, Queen Clytemnestra, what is the matter?
What is new?
What have you learned? What report has persuaded you to send round and have sacrifices made?
All the gods who guard the city, those on high, those below the earth, those too at our house doors and in our public places, have all their altars blazing with gifts.
Let us say about this what is both possible and rightful. Know and heal our concern here. At one moment it brings grim thoughts. At another, from the sacrifices you display, hope defends the mind against insatiable anxiety and pain devouring the spirit.
All is how it should be, fulfilling destiny.
Men cannot command it with their libations and sacrifices. Stubborn fury is difficult to bribe.
Our weakness and age has kept us here. So we tell this tale of the Achaeans' double-throned command. One mind, captaining the youth of Greece.
Sent with vengeful hand and spear against the city of Priam by an omen, the ferocious bird, the king of birds, with the king of ships.
One bird black,
and one bird white behind.
A hit appearing hard by their headquarters, perching where they could be seen all round, as they fed on a creature, big with young heavy in its womb, a hair slop from its final run.
Cry sorrow, sorrow, but let the good prevail.
The careful seer of the army knew the warlike feasters on the hair at sight, for the two sons of Atreus, two also in their mettle, and the powers that led the force.
He spoke, interpreting the portent so. In time, our advance captures Priam city, and fate before its walls will sack its bountiful land, all of it there, in violence. Oh, let no jealousy sent from God bring darkness on Troy's great bridal bit. Those stricken first now go on campaign. Pity makes holy Artemis grudge her father's winged hounds the wretched hair, unborn litter and all. She loathes the equal's meal. Cry sorrow, sorrow, but let the good prevail.
The manifestation of the birds is favourable, but means blame.
Apollo there, healer indeed, I call upon you lest you make contrary the winds for the Achaeans.
Lengthy delays which keep the ships from sailing.
In her urge for a second sacrifice.
One with no music, no feasting.
An architect of feuds born in the family, with no fear of the man.
For there stays and waits a fearsome, resurgent, treacherous keeper of the house, an unforgetting fury, which avenges children.
Those were the fated things which Calchas ran out for the royal house, together with much good, for the road's omen birds.
Cry sorrow,
let the good prevail.
And then the senior in command of the Achaean ships, blaming no seer, going with fortune's winds as it struck at him.
The Achaean people now oppressed, stone jars empty from not sailing, facing Colchis from their places at oarless with its noisy ebb and flow.
And the winds which came from Strymon, bringing bad idleness, starvation, difficult moorings, with straying of men, cables and ships not spared, redoubling the long delay.
They wore down and shredded the Argive flower, when too the seer cried to the chiefs, a further, more heavy means against the bitter storm. He named Artemis as cause, enough for the Atreidae to thump their staves upon the ground, and not be able to restrain their tears.
Agamemnon spoke, declaring, "Fate will be heavy if I do not obey. Heavy as well if I slay my child, my house's own treasure, polluting her father's hands with slaughter streaming from a maiden at the altar. What is there without evil here? How can I desert the fleet and fail the alliance? Why this sacrifice to stop the wind? A maiden's blood, so may all be well.
When he puts on the yoke strap of compulsion, his mind's wind veering round to the unholy.
The impious!
The impure! From then his purpose changed to hard audacity for men, yet overbold with the cruel derangement, and its ugly schemes that begin their affliction.
So, he was brave enough to sacrifice his daughter, in aid of a war to punish a woman, and as first rights for the fleet to sail.
Her entreaties and appeals to her father and her maiden's years were muted by the soldiers' lust for battle.
Her father, after praying, gave an order for the servers to take and lift her like a goat kid over the altar.
When she had fallen forward about his robes to plead with all her heart, the lips in her beautiful face were curved to suppress any word, making the house accursed.
Violently and with the bridle's muting power. Her yellow-dyed dress streaming to the ground, she struck each perpetrator with a bolt from her eyes.
To move compassion.
She stood out clearly, as in a picture, wanting to call them by name.
Since she had often sung in her father's men's hall with its rich banquets and in the pure voice of an unwed girl.
Honoured with love, her loving father's paean hymn at his third libation to good fortune.
What followed, I neither saw, nor do I say.
Justice weighs down its scale for some to suffer and learn.
You may hear the future when it happens. Until it does, farewell to it, or it's the same as sorrowing too soon.
It will come, sharp and clear, rising with dawn's rays.
Yet, as for what follows, may good be done. As is the wish of this, the closest guardian of the land of Apis, its sole defense.
I have come out of respect for your power, Clytemnestra, for it is right to honor the lady of a ruler when the man leaves his throne empty. Whether or not you have learned something trustworthy and are now making sacrifices in the hopes of happy news, I should gladly hear. But there is no grudge if you stay silent.
May happy news come from the dawn with her mother night, as in the proverb. You shall learn of a joy far greater than you hope to hear. The Argives have taken the city! Triumph!
How do you mean? What you say escapes me from disbelief.
Joy belongs to the Achaeans, I say. Do I speak clearly?
Joy is stealing over me and calling up my tear.
Yes, your face declares your loyalty.
But what gives you your sureness then? Have you proof of this?
I have, of course, unless a god has tricked me.
Or are you too respectful of appearances in dreams, with their easy persuasion?
I would not accept the fancies of a drowsing mind.
Then has some unfledged rumour bolstered you?
You're quite faulting my intelligence like a young girl.
And just how recent is the city sack?
During the night, which has given birth to this day, I tell you.
And what messenger could reach here with that speed?
Hephaestus! Oh, he sent a bright gleam of fire out from Ida, and beacon sent on to beacon here from the messenger fire in relays, from Ida to Lemnos, and Athos was third in taking up the great torch from the island, rising high in its strength to cross the ocean's back. The journeying flare brings pleasure, the torch passing on the message of its brilliant golden gleam like a sun to the watch point and Mesistus. The man there made no delay at all, nor failed in his part as messenger by carelessly letting sleep overcome him. And from far away, the beacon light signals to the watchman at Messapion that it has reached Euripus' current. They lit their flare in response and passed the message forward. kindling fire in a heap of ancient heather. Strong and not yet dim, the flare leapt above Aesopus' plain, like a shining moon to Kithaeron's crag, and woke a further relay in sending on the fire. The watch did not refuse a light sent from so far. The fire they burned was more than had been ordered. Over the Gorgonian lake the light dashed down as it reached the Wondigo mountain, and it urged no delay in the orders for the fire. They send it on, their ungrudging zeal making a great beard of flame blaze upward, to cross also the foreland which looks down on the Saronic narrow. Onward as it flamed, then it dashes down, then it came to the steep of Arachne, the watch point's neighbouring our city. Then it dashes down to the rooftop here of the Atreidae, this light, which is a true grandchild of the fire of Ida. There, you have my arrangements for the beacon bearers. One after another in succession they were performed in full. The first and last to run were winners. Such is the token and proof in my telling you that my husband has passed his message on to me from Troy.
My lady, but I should willingly hear this account of yours right through once more and be full of wonder.
The Achaeans have hold of Troy to this day. I think cries of two different kinds must be very evident in the city, just as if you were to pour oil and vinegar in the same vessel and speak of them as unfriendly in their separation, so the voices of captives and victors may be heard separately in their double fortune. The ones have fallen to embrace the bodies of their husbands and brothers and children of their families' old men, lamenting the fate of their dearest from throats no longer free. Our men are living now in captured Trojan houses, released from the frosts and dews of an open sky. As happy men, they will sleep the whole night without guards, if they are showing due respect to the gods who hold the city, and to those gods' shrines in a land now fallen. As captors, may they later not fall captive in their turn. I fear lust, however, may first invade the army, inspiring them to ransack what it should not, overcome with greed, for it needs safety on its return home. There, you have heard all that from a woman, from me. May the good prevail, to be seen with no wavering. I myself choose the enjoyment of many good things.
Lady, you speak good sense like a prudent man. Now I hear your convincing proof. I am preparing due address to the gods. A reward for effort has been achieved at its full value.
Oh, Zeus the king! And friendly knight, winner of great glories in throwing your mesh to cover Troy's battlements, so that none of the very young, nor any of the full-grown, might escape the great dredge net of slavery which captures all.
I revere great Zeus of hospitality, who has carried this through, bending his bow long back against Paris, so he might not launch its arrow without effect, either short of a mark or beyond the stars.
Zeus's blow. They can speak of this. It is possible to track down at any rate. He fulfilled as he willed.
Some person denied that the gods deign to have concern about men who trample grace in untouchable things.
But he was not pious.
Destruction is shown, exacting its price for their audacity. Aspirations greater than just houses, teeming with excess far beyond what is best.
Let things lead to no harm, and so suffice men endowed with good sense.
There is no protection in wealth for a man who from its excess has kicked justice's great altar into disappearing.
Cruel persuasion uses force. Unendurable child of ruin who plans in advance. All remedies vain, there is no hiding. The havoc, it stands clear, its dreadful gleam bright.
Like bad bronze, as it wears and is knocked, a man turns a fixed black when judgment is made.
Since he is a boy, chasing a bird in flight, scoring unendurable harm on his city.
And no god listens to pleas. Instead, there is one to destroy the unjust man who engages in these things. Such, in fact, was Paris. He came to the house of the Atreidae and disgraced his host's table with the theft of his wife.
She left for the townsmen. The tumult of warriors, companies forming, sailors arming. In place of a dowry, she brought Troy its destruction.
She flitted lightly off through the gates and was gone. Her daring past all daring.
With much groaning the house prophet spoke. The house, alas, and its chiefs. The marriage bed, the steps of a wife in love. Here is silence and dishonor seen in those deserted, and they do not revile, they do not plead.
In his longing for her over the sea, her phantom will seem to rule in the house. The grace of shapely statues is hateful to the husband. In their lack of eyes, all love's being goes lost.
The house's sorrows are these, and others far exceeding them. But in all, for those starting out together from Greece's land, an absence of grief was clear in each man's house.
The land knows whom it's sent out. In place of human beings, their ashes and urns come back to each man's house.
Ares, who trades gold for bodies and holds his own scale in battle, sends back to their kin from Troy heavy dust burnt in the fire, which brings hard tears. And in place of a man, ash is the freight of urns easily stowed.
Lamenting, they praised the men, one as knowing in battle, another as fallen bravely amid slaughter.
For the wife of another, a man is snarling this quietly.
Resentment steals over their grief against the Atreidae leading the case.
The townsman's talking is heavy with rancor, paying its due to the people's solemn heartache.
My anxiety waits to hear of things veiled over by night. Those who have killed many men are not unseen by the gods.
And the black Erinyes will in time face the man who succeeds without justice, reversing his success to wear out his life.
There is no help once a man has his humanity hidden from sight. Arrogance birthed from fame has heavy consequence.
With the fire's good news, rumour has gone swiftly through the city.
Or whether it's true, who knows?
Or whether it is really a falsehood from God. Who is so childish or struck so senseless as to have his heart fired by this new message passed on by flame, and then to suffer from a change in story?
It is very like a woman in command, to concede gratitude before the facts appear.
Too ready to persuade. A female ranges beyond her boundary, quick to move, but doom is quick.
We shall soon learn about the flares and the light they carried, the passage of the fire on the beacons, whether in fact they were true, or whether this joyful light which came cheated our minds like a dream. For I see here, from the shore, shadowed in twigs of olive and the dust, what thirsty sister and neighbors might witness that his news for you will not be voiceless, or given through the smoke of fire kindled into flame by mountain timber.
What he says, he will either speak out more strongly for rejoicing, but I withhold any love for the opposite words. I wish for a happy addition to happy appearances, and whoever makes a prayer otherwise for this city, I wish he may harvest his mind's error for himself.
Hail, my ancestral soil, land of Argos! 10 years daylight now, and I have reached you. One hope met after so many broken. Oh, I was never confident that I should die here in the land of Argos and have my share of the funeral most dear to me. Now, my greetings to the land, and greetings to the sunlight, and to Zeus, supreme over the land. And to you too, O Pythian lord, no longer I hope shooting at us with your bow. You were implacable enough by this commander, but now be our saviour and healer, Lord Apollo. I address to all the gods in their assembly, and my own protector Hermes, whom heralds deeply revere.
I hail the palace, dear house of kings and their majestic seat.
Welcome the king in due form with your faces bright after this long time. For when he comes, he brings a light in darkness for you and all these here to share. The Lord Agamemnon!
Hooray!
Greet him well, as is truly fitting. He has razed Troy with Zeus, the justice bringing axe, with which its ground has been worked over and the seed utterly destroyed from the land.
Such was the yoke he threw over Troy, our Lord, the son of Atreus, a man blessed by God. Now he has come. He is the most worthy of all mortals now alive to be honored. For not Paris, nor his city as associate proclaim their deed worse than their suffering. Convicted of robbery as well as of theft, he both lost his stolen prize and reaped total ruin for his house, soil, and all. The sons of Priam have paid double for their misdeeds.
Happy greetings to you, herald of the Achaeans, for your news from the army.
Oh, yes, I am happy! And I shall no longer deny the gods my death.
Has love for your fatherland exercised you so hard?
Yes, so that my eyes are filling with tears of joy.
A delightful disease then to have you visit both.
How so then? If I have it explained, I shall master your meaning.
I mean, you're being stricken with a desire for those who return your love.
You say that the land here is longing for the army, which is longing for it too.
Enough for me to groan aloud often from a gloomy heart.
What brought on this hateful despondency? Tell me.
I have long had silence as my medicine against harm.
What? You were in fear of the absent lords?
So much that now, to use your own words, even death would be great happiness.
Yes, but because of our successes. Of those over a long time, some had fallen out well, others the reverse, in fact, open to blame. But who except the gods is free from pain his whole lifetime? Why, if I told you of the hardships we had, the miserable sleeping quarters, the narrow gangways with poor bedding, what did we not groan at, not get as our daily lot? The rest, moreover. On dry land there were more hateful things. Our beds up against the enemy's walls, fields dewy wet from ground and from the sky, keeping us damp all through, a constant plague, infesting the stuff of our clothes with creatures. And if one told of winter long enough to kill the birds, what it was like to have made it beyond endurance by Ida's snows, or of heat when the sea fell calm and slept in its midday rest, waveless. What need is there to grieve over those?
The misery is past. It is past, so that the dead never even care about rising again. While for us remnants of the Argive army, our gain prevails, and the anguish does not outweigh it. Why should those who perished be counted up and the living have pain from fortune's spite? Besides, I think it right to say a long goodbye to our misfortunes. Taking Troy long ago, the Argive expedition nailed up these spoils for the gods throughout Greece in their temples to mark an ancient glory.
Such things once heard. Men should praise this city and its generals, and the will of Zeus, which accomplished this, shall be given its due honor. There. You have the full story.
I'm not sorry to be convinced by what you say. The old are always young enough to learn readily. This news naturally concerns the house, however, and Clytemnestra especially, but it enriches me as well.
I cried out my joy long ago when the first night messenger of fire came telling of Troy's capture and destruction. And someone said in reproof, Have beacon bearers persuaded you to think that Troy is now ransacked? Truly like a woman to let her heart be lifted. Words such as those made me seem astray. Nevertheless, I went on sacrificing, and people in all parts of the city showed cries of joy in woman's custom, in grateful triumph, lulling the fragrant flame that devoured their sacrifices at the gods' seats. And now, for the longer account, what need of you to give it me? I shall learn the whole story from my lord himself, and I must hasten to give my revered husband the best of welcomes, now he has returned. For what light of day is sweeter for a wife to see than this, when the gates have opened, and God has brought back her husband safely from return. Take this message away to my husband, to come as soon as possible. He is the city's beloved darling. And as to his wife, I wish that he may find her when he comes just as faithful in his home as the one he left behind. The house's watchdog, true to him while hostile to ill wishes, and similar in everything else, with no seal broken in the length of time. And I know no more of pleasure from another man, nor talk of flame than I do of dipping bronze. There, you have my boast. Its fullness with the truth makes it no shame for a woman of my nobility to proclaim.
She spoke that way to you, words which, if you understand them with the help of clear interpreters, appear specious.
But you must tell me, Herald, I wish to know of Menelaus, whether he has actually returned home with you, brought safely back. He is a power dear to this land.
Impossible that I should report what is false as true. For friends cannot feed on falsehood's harvest for any great length of time.
Then I wish you may give excellent news and be telling the truth. Their separation is not easy to conceal.
The man has disappeared from the Achaean fleet, himself together with his ship. I tell no falsehoods.
Was it after he had set sail in clear view from Troy? Or did a storm snatch him from the fleet? Heavy on all alike.
You hit the mark like a top archer, and describe long-suffering concisely.
But was there word of him, rumoured by other sailors, as alive or dead?
No one knows enough to report clear news except the sun, which nourishes life on earth.
You mean that the storm came upon the fleet of ships and reached its end through the god's rancour? How?
It is not fitting to pollute a joyful day with such unwelcome news. When a messenger with a grim face brings the city the pain it had hoped to avoid, such a messenger sings a paean hymn in honour of the Erinyes. But when a messenger with good news that things are safe comes to a city that rejoices in well-being, how am I to mix excellent and bad together and tell of the storm which came upon the Achaeans' fleet by the gods' wrath?
Hosts were sworn together by those former worst enemies, fire and sea, and the two demonstrated their pledges in jointly destroying the ill-fated Argive fleet. In the night rose evil, stormy seas. Winds from Thrace smashed ships against one another amid lightning, tempest, and squalls of beating rain. Others in this violent buffeting were lost and vanished. An evil shepherd of the storm whirled them all about. When this and clear light rose, we saw the Aegean main blooming with the corpses of Achaean men and the wrecks of ships. Yet ourselves and our ship, its hull unscathed, some god either stole away or begged us off. Some god, it was no man with his touch at our helm. And Saviour Fortune was seated willingly on our ship, so we should have no squalls of beating rain to prevent mooring nor be run against mighty rocks on land. After we had escaped death at sea, in the white light of day, with no trust in our fortune, we brooded anxiously on this fresh disaster, with our fleet wrecked and badly pounded by the waves.
And now, if those men still breathe, they are talking about us as if we were dead. And we ourselves imagine they are the same. What else? May it turn out for the best! So, as to Menelaus, first and above all, you may look forward to his return. If some ray of sun finds him flourishing and alive through the devices of a Zeus not yet willing to destroy his family line utterly, then there is yet some hope that he will come home again. Now you have heard that much. Know that you have heard the truth. Whoever was it gave Helen this name was so wholly correct, unless it was some god who sees far beyond what we can.
To her two sides disputed, and she, whose dowry was war, Helen.
For aptly to her name, and Helen to ship.
Hellish to men.
She came from her transparent chamber curtains to set sail on the wind of a giant zephyr, with many men bearing shields and hounding on the vanished tracks of oars. Once her ships beached on the leafy shores of Simois, through the work of bloody strife.
To Troy, fury drove on its way a wedding bond, so right in name. It exacted later payment for the dishonour to a host's table. To Zeus of the hearth.
Priam's ancient city, I think, is greatly bewailing Paris and calling him fatal in your marriage. It has brought its people's lives utter ransack, and with much lamentation they endure bloodshed's miseries in full.
Just so! A man once reared a lion's offspring in his house, still a suckling. In these, the first rites of its life, tame, affectionate towards children, delightful as well to the old.
It was often held in the crook of arms, like a newborn infant being nursed, its face turned brightly towards the hand and fawning in hunger's need. Brought on by time, however, it displayed the nature which came from its parents, reaping its rearer's favour with wild slaughter of sheep.
Uninvited, it made them feast. The house was a welter of blood. An agony the housefolk could not fight. A great havoc of many killed. And by God's will, a priest of ruin was reared in the house as well.
At once there came to Troy's city, I would say, a notion of windless calm and tranquil adornment to riches, eyes casting melting glances, love blooming, which eats at the heart.
The marriage was changed in its course. It ended in a bitter fulfillment. By an evil settler, an evil companion sped to Priam's sons, escorted by Zeus, god of hosts, bringing tears upon brides, a fury.
Long spoken amongst men, there exists an old saying that a man's prosperity, once grown fully, has offspring, not dying childless. His line's good fortune bears offspring of insatiable woe.
I differ from others, alone in my thinking. It is the impious deed which later on begets more deeds that resemble their own parentage. Porterhouses, upright and just, fine children are destined forever. Ancient insolence want to breed youthful insolence in evil men. Sooner or later, when the appointed day comes for birth, a demon unfightable, invincible, unholy in boldness, a demon of black ruin comes for a house, resembling its parents.
Justice gleams in houses foul with smoke, doing honour to the righteous life. But gold-bespangled mansions where hands are unclean, she leaves with her eyes turned away, and approaches those which are pure, with no respect for riches and their power. When falsely stamped with praise, she directs all things to their ending.
Of Troy's city.
Child of Atreus!
How should I address you? How should I revere you, neither over-aiming nor undershooting the mark with what pleases? Everyone is ready to lament the unsuccessful, but no distress bites deeply into his heart at all. While men, from forcing their unsmiling faces to that of a poet reciting his infatuations.
A good judge of his flock, however, cannot fail to notice the eyes of a man that seem out of loyal intention to be fawning in a watery friendship.
Yourself, at the time you were launching the campaign to get Helen, I shall not conceal it from you. You made a most unpleasing picture to me.
Unwise too in your guiding mind's helm when you tried to recover willing courage for dying men. But from no mere surface feeling, nor from insincere loyalty, we offer gratitude to those who have brought toil to a good end.
You will study and know with time which citizens staying here at home acted rightfully and which improperly.
First, I address Argos and the land's gods. It is my duty to these accessories in my return and in the justice I exacted from the city of Priam. The city was taken. Its smoke even now makes it a clear mark. The storms of ruin live on. The ash of its dying sends out rich puffs of wealth. For this the gods should be paid a very mindful thanks, since we punished an arrogant robbery. It was for a woman that Troy was ground into dust by the Argives' beast of destruction, the offspring of the horse, shield bearers in a body launching their leap at the Pleiades' setting. Springing over the battlements, the ravening lion licked his fill of royal blood. It is few men's nature to honor a successful friend without jealousy. The poison of ill will sits near the heart and doubles the disease's burden for the man who contracts it. His own injuries oppress him, and he groans at seeing prosperity by another's door. Only Odysseus, the one who sailed against his will, was my ready trace horse when joined to the team. He may in fact be dead or alive as I speak of him. As for what else affects the city and its gods, we will hold common assemblies. We must take counsel in order for what is good to remain so and last well. But where healing remedies are needed, either by sensible courtry or surgery, we shall try to avert the disease's harm. Now I shall go into my palace and my home, and at its hearth raise my hand to greet first the very gods who sent me out and brought me back again. And may victory for its past attendance on me remain steadfast.
Men of the city, senior archives here present, I shall have no qualms in telling you how I love my husband. A person's timidity dies away in time. I've not learned from others. I shall tell of my own life's hardship all the while. This man was under Troy's wall. The first thing for a wife to be separated from her husband and to sit at home alone is a terrible misery. When she hears many malicious rumors, with one man coming and then the next with his cries, bringing worse pain on top of pain for the house. Also, if this man was receiving as many wounds as rumors kept channeling homeward, he would have more holes to count pierced in him than a net. And if he had been killed as many times as the stories came, why, he would have had 3 bodies, for sure. These are the reasons why our son Orestes is not standing with us here as he should. The security of our pledges to each other. And do not wonder at this. He is being brought up by the kindness of your war ally, Strophius the Phocian. He warned me of disaster on 2 counts, both the dangers under Troy to yourself and the popular clamour amid anarchy which might overthrow deliberation, and how it is natural to trample a man who has fall. Such a plea in excuse, I assure you, carries no deception. My gushing spring of tears is quenched, however, and there is not a drop in it. The line late awake has harmed my eyes, as I wept that the beacon set of news for your arrival, but they were always empty. Now I have endured all this, with a heart free from grief. It is sweet to escape from all stress. But let jealous envy have no place here, for the miseries we endured before were many. Now please, my dear one, get out of this carriage without putting to the ground that foot of yours, my lord, which incinerated Troy. Woman slaves! Why the delay with the task laid on you, to spread the ground of his path with fabrics? Let his way be replaced with crimson immediately, so that justice may lead him to a home unexpected.
Leader's child, guardian of my house, your speech was appropriate to my absence. You drew it out at length. Fair praise, however, is a reward which should come from others, yes. Besides, do not pamper me in a woman's fashion. And do not give me gawping or obeisance crying from the ground as if I were some barbarian, or strew my way with vestments and open it to jealousy. It is the gods these things should magnify. As a mortal, it is impossible for me to walk on beautiful embroideries without fear. I tell you, show me respect as a man, not as a god. Foot wipers and embroideries cry out very different meanings. A mind to avoid wrong is God's greatest gift. A man to call blessed with success is the man who has ended his life in precious well-being. If I could fare in everything as I fare now, I shall be quite confident.
Well, answer me this, without going against your true opinion. Would you vow to the gods if you had been in fear that you would do this thing?
Yes. If anyone would, with sure knowledge, I would have proclaimed this duty.
And what do you think Priam would have done if he had achieved what you have?
I think he would certainly have walked on embroideries.
Then have no regard for men's censure.
But the people talk. Their voice is very powerful.
Oh, yes. But a man free from their jealousy never draws envy.
Surely it is not a woman's way to desire a battle.
No, but a man blessed with success fittingly yields even victory.
Do you really value victory in this contest?
Be persuaded. You are, in fact, the winner, if you give way to me willingly.
Well, since you are determined on this, let someone quickly undo my shoes, which serve walking feet as slaves, and as I go upon these crimson-colored riches of the gods, may no jealous eye strike me from afar. I have great qualms about destroying a house's property underfoot, spoiling rich textiles bought with silver. Enough! Let it be so. The woman, stranger here, take her inside kindly. God looks favorably from afar on a man gentle in victory. No one puts on slavery's yoke from free will. She has followed with me as the army's gift, the choicest jewel of my precious fortune. And since I am subdued into obeying you in this, I shall go into my palace halls, treading over riches.
The sea is there, and who shall dry it up, nurturing the juices which yield much purple worth its weight in silver, wholly renewable, the dye of vestments. There is a remedy for these here with the gods' help, my lord. The house does not know how to be poor. I would have vowed over treading many vestments if that had been pronounced for the house as an oracle, whilst I was trying to devise a safe return for this life here. When a root is there, leafy growth comes to a house and stretches shade over it against the dog star Sirius. So now that you have come to your house's hearth, oh, you signify a warmth in winter with your coming. Zeus, master fulfiller, give my prayers fulfillment, and may you indeed take care of whatever you mean to fulfill!
Why is this terror hovering constantly in front of my heart to rule its divinations? And why is confidence not enthroned within my mind?
Time has gone beyond its youth since the stern cables were jerked aboard, the sand flying upwards as the sea-going host started out for Troy.
I learn of its return by sight. I am myself a witness. Within me, however, my spirit is chanting self-taught that unlyrical dirge, the Furies.
I pray that all my expectations turn out to be false and do not come to be fulfilled. Great wealth as a condition is truly insatiable, with no limit.
Poverty shares its wall as neighbour and leans on it. Man's destiny too on a straight passage can strike an invisible reef.
The caution which jettisons parts saves wealthy possessions by sizing them well for the sling. The house does not wholly go under because plenty loads it too full, nor its ship capsize.
Truly, the bounty of Zeus is great and all-embracing, and from the furrows year upon year does away with starvation's disease.
Once a man's blood has fallen on the ground in front of him, black and fatal, who shall call it up again by incantation? My mind is ablaze.
Slaves! Get yourselves inside too. Cassandra. I mean, since Zeus, without anger, has given you a share in the house's ritual sprinklings, to stand among other slaves, protecting its possessions. Get inside, and do not be superior. Why, they say even Heracles was put on sale once, and bore to touch the bread of slavery.
It is you she is speaking to. What she says is very clear. Since you've been caught in the deadly net, please obey her. If you are going to obey.
Unless she's like a swallow and owns an unintelligible barbarian tongue, I'm trying to persuade her by speaking words within her comprehension.
Go with her. She says what is best under the circumstances. Leave your seat here in the carriage and obey her.
I've no leisure to waste here out of doors. The sheep are already standing to be slaughtered before the altar at the house's centre. And you, if you are going to make anything of this, make no delay. But if you do not understand my words or take them in, then show your intention with some outlandish gesture instead of speaking.
The stranger seems in need of an interpreter. Her manner's like a wild animal just captured.
She's mad and obeying wrong thoughts, like one who comes from a city just captured and does not know how to endure the bridle before foaming out her temper in blood. I will not waste more words to have them scorned.
I shall not get angry, though. I have pity for her. Come, you poor wretch, abandon the carriage here and accept the new yoke.
Why this loud wailing for Apollo? He's not of the kind to meet a lamenter. This woman blasphemes again in calling on the god. It is not his part to assist at lamentation.
Apollo, my destroyer, you have destroyed me with no difficulty for the second time.
She's going to prophesy about her own suffering, it seems. The god's power remains in her mind even as a slave.
Oh, Lord of the ways, where have you led me? To what kind of house?
To that of the Atreidae. If you do not realize this, I am telling you, and you will not call it false.
No, to a godless house, with much on its conscience. Evil blood shed by kin, carving like meat, a place for slaughtering men. A floor sprinkled with blood.
The stranger has a keen nose, it seems, like a hound. She is searching for blood and will soon discover whose murder it was.
For I put my trust in this evidence here. These are children weeping over their slaughter and over their roasted flesh, which their father tasted.
Indeed, we have heard of your fame as a prophet, but we are not searching for any prophets.
Whatever is plotting now? What is this new affliction here? Great evil, great. It's plotting in this house. Unbearable for kin. Difficult to heal and help. Standing far off.
I do not recognize those divinations, but I understand these ones. All the city is shouting them.
Cruel woman, will you take this to its end?
after you bathe the husband clean, who shares your bed. Oh, how shall I speak of the end, for this is soon to be?
I do not understand. I am now at a loss for riddles made in dark prophecies.
What is this which appears? Is it some catch net of that? No, the trap net is she, sharing his bed, sharing guilt for his blood. Now let insatiable furies of the family cry its triumph over this sacrifice.
What fury is this you order to raise its cry over the house? What you say is bringing me no cheer. Drops of blood, saffron dyed, have run to my heart. The very drops which accompany men who fall by the spear in reaching their end. The sunset of life's rays, death follows swiftly.
Look! Keep the bull well away from the cow. She has him caught in the roping, in her black horned contrivance. And she strikes, and he falls in the tub full of water. I am telling you here, the outcome of the bath, where treachery does murder.
I would not boast to be an expert in judging prophecies, but this seems to me like something bad.
So cruel my fortunes, so evil my fate. The woes I cry out are my own. I add them to the cup. So why did you lead me here? For nothing at all, except to die with him. What else?
Where do you have these agonies from? Violent onset of possession by a god, all to no purpose. Terror born of your chatting, loud-voiced, and ill-omened your shrilly pitched music. Where do you have your markers from? Oh, your path prophetic with evil words.
The wedding of our parents, destroying his dearest. Scamander, ancestral waters. Then I was reared and had my growing along your verges, wretch that I am. But now, it seems I shall soon be singing my prophecies in Hades. Oh, the anguish of our city, destroyed so completely. My father's many offerings, beasts slain in front of his walls, but they secured no remedy to stop the city faring as was in fact its due. My own warm blood will soon be shed on the ground.
You utter words which follow from those you said before. Some god is putting misery in your mind. So disastrous is your song, with death and sorrow. For the ending I am helpless.
Now, see, my oracle will no longer be looking through veils like a newlywed bride, but clear and keen. Its breath will seem to dart towards the sun's rising, so that there it surges up against its rays a wave, a harm greater than this by far. I shall no longer instruct you from riddles, and you are to bear me witness that I track closely on the scent of evil done long ago. There's a crowd of singers that never leaves this house. They sing in unison, but not pleasantly, for they do not tell of good. And now that they have drunk on human blood, emboldening themselves, this ravel band remains in the house, hard to expel. The house's family furies, besetting the chambers of the house. They sing the song of ruinous folly that first began it all. In turn, they spit their disgust with the brother's bed and enmity to its trembler. Have I missed? Or do I score hit? like an archer? Or am I a false prophet, a squawker at the door, a babbler? Speak out, under oath, that I know this house's crimes ancient in story.
I marvel at you. You were born and bred in a city across the sea which has a different language, and yet, well, you hit the mark with what you say, just as if you'd been standing by.
Apollo, God of prophets, set me in this office.
Smitten with desire for you, I fear you mean, although he is a god.
Before now, I was ashamed to speak of this.
Everyone shows greater delicacy while in prosperity.
But Apollo quite wrestled with me while breathing his favors.
And did the two of you duly come to making a child?
Oh, I had consented, Apollo. Later, I cheated him.
Had you already possessed the skill the god inspires?
I was already prophesying all their disasters to the citizens.
So how are you unscathed by Apollo's anger?
After I had wronged him, I could convince nobody of anything.
Yet, we at least think that you prophesy convincingly.
Oh, this terrible agony! Dip down again. The fearsome work of truthful prophecies agitates me and wheels me round with its stormy prelude. You see these young ones seated by the house, resembling dream shapes. They are children killed, as if at the hands of enemies. Their hands holding their flesh for meat, clearly visible, with their entrails and vitals with the most pitiable burden which their father tasted. For that, I say someone is planning retribution. A cowardly lion who roams free in the marriage bed and has stayed at home. Alas, it is against my master on his return. The ship's commander, the overturner of Troy, will meet with underhand destruction through evil fortune. He does not know what kind of bite hides behind the hateful bitch's tongue as it brightly laid back its ears and licked. Such is a male-female murderer in her audacity. What loathsome monster should I be accurate in calling her? A snake, a Scylla living on the rocks, destruction for sailors, a hellish mother waging war on her dearest.
About Thyestes feasting on his children's flesh, and shuddered, and fear possesses me now that I have heard the things that truly are not metaphors. But when I listen to the rest, I stumble and run off the track.
I say that you will look upon the death of Agamemnon.
Still your tongue, you wretched woman! Say nothing inauspicious.
But Apollo, the healer, cannot aid my words at all.
No, not if this is to be, but may it never happen.
You pray, but others have killing as their concern.
Which man is to bring this evil deed about?
Man, you have indeed been thrown a long way off the course my oracles are running.
I did not understand the method the murderer will use.
And yet, I know the Greek language only too well.
So do decrees from Delphi, yet they're still hard to understand.
How the fires invade me! Lycaonian Apollo! Oh me! My pain! This two-footed lioness, bedding with the wolf in the absence of the noble lion, will kill me, wretch that I am. And as if preparing a drug, she will pour in the drink a wage paid for myself as well. As she whets the blade for the man, she boasts he will pay in blood for bringing me here. Why then am I keeping these? To mock myself. And the dress and the prophet's bands around my neck. I will destroy you before my own fate. Fall there and be damned! And I shall keep company with you. Make some other woman, rich in ruin, in my place. See, it is Apollo himself who strips me of my prophetic dress. He watched over me while I was greatly mocked, even in this attire, by friends who became enemies, while I vainly prophesied the truth. I was abused, like a fortune teller, wandering about for charity. I endured wretched beggary, half dead from hunger. And now, it seems the prophet God has exacted his due for me as prophet, and led me into captivity for a deadly fate like this. And in place of my ancestral altar, there waits a butcher's block, warm from the blood of one cut down before. But I swear, we shall not die without retribution. There will come in turn another, a child born to kill his mother, one to exact penalty for his father, a fugitive, a wanderer, an exile from this land. He will come to save the house from wasting further. His father, thrown on his back on the ground, will bring him home. Why then do I lament so piteously? After seeing Troy city faring as it fared, and those who took the city getting their outcome in a deadly fate like this, I shall go and do it. I will submit to death. I address these as the gates of Hades. I pray I may get a fatal blow and close my eyes as blood streams out in an easy death.
So much misery is yours, but so much skill, woman, and you spoke at length. If you truly know your own fate, how can you tread so bravely towards the altar, like an ox driven on by God?
There is no further escape, strangers. None, for any longer a time.
Yet the final part of one's time is the most valued.
That day is here. I shall gain little by attempting to run away.
Your resolution is from a brave heart, I tell you.
None of the truly fortunate ever hears that said.
But a famous death is welcome to a mortal.
Oh, how I grieve you, my father, and your noble children. Now, I shall go inside the house to bewail over my fate and over Agamemnon's. Enough of life. Ah! Strangers!
What is it? What fear turns you back?
Horrible!
Why your cry of horrible? Unless there is some revulsion in your mind.
The house! It's breathing murder! It's dripping with blood!
How? Not so. There is a smell of sacrifices at the hearth.
The vapor! It's so evident!
You surely can't be talking about the Syrian fragrance. That's adding splendor to the palace.
My cries of distress are not like that of a birds in shrubbery. From alarm to no purpose. Bear me witness to that. When woman dies in place of woman, in place of me, and man with evil wife falls in place of man, then I claim this from you as a stranger here. Now I am to die.
Poor wretch. I pity you the fate you predict.
There is one more speech. No, dirge I wish to make. I pray to my last daylight from the sun that my master's avengers requite my murder to on our enemies. Mine, it's a slave's death, an easy victory. Mortal men and their fate. If they succeed, they may be likened to a shadow. If they fail, the wipe of a wet cloth destroys the picture. I pity the second much more than the first.
Man by nature has an insatiable appetite for success. No one discourages this in royal households.
And so, to this man here, the blessed gods have granted the taking of Priam's city, and he has come home with the gods' honor.
But now, if he is to pay for the blood of those before and by dying provides vengeance for the dead, who of mortal men, when he hears this, would boast that his birth led to a fate without peril?
Who shall have a blow as if dealt a fatal wound?
It seems to me from their cries of pain that the deed has been done. Let us think, in case there may somehow be safe plans.
I tell you my proposal, have criers call the townsfolk here to the house to help.
No, my idea is to rush in at once and prove the deed together with the freshly streaming sword.
I share a proposal like that, and vote for action. It is a moment for no delay.
It's here to see. This is their prelude to actions which mean tyranny for the city.
Yes, we are wasting our time while their hands are not asleep.
I do not know what plan to hit on and say, for the man of action has also to plan for it.
I'm like that too, at a loss for words to resurrect the dead. Are we really to drag out our lives in submitting to these violators of the house as our rulers?
That is not tolerable. It is better to die. It is a fate milder than tyranny.
Are we to understand from the evidence of the groans that this man is dead?
We should be discussing this from clear knowledge. Guessing is different from knowing clearly.
I am getting a majority from all sides. We're approving this course to know exactly how things are. The son of Atreus.
after saying much before, which suited the moment, I shall not be embarrassed to now say the opposite. How else would someone prepare hostilities against enemies who seem to be friends? Make a net fence of harm too high for them to leap. This challenge had all my thoughts from long ago. Justice has come to fruition! Late, but it has come. I stand where I struck, over a deed completed. I did it this way, and I shall not deny it, so there should be no escape, no fending off death. A net with no way through, just as for fish. I stake out round him an evil wealth of clothing. I strike him twice, and with 2 groaning cries, his legs gave way on the spot. And I deal him a 3rd blow on top. Now he has fallen! A grateful offering vowed to the Zeus below the earth. Now he speeds his soul away after his fall. He gasps out quick blood from his throat wound and bathes me with a dark shower of gory dew. And I rejoice no less than a crop does when Zeus gifts it with rain. If there should be a libation to the corpse from what is fitting, it would justly be from this blood. No! More than justly. So great a mixing bowl in his house did this man fill with curse-laden evil. And now, on his return, he drinks it up himself. This being so, you senior Argives here now, rejoice! If you should be for rejoicing, I myself am for boasting.
We marvel at your tongue, at your bold-mouthing arrogance at the abhorrent words of your husband.
You always test me like a witless woman, but I speak with a fearless heart to those who know, and whether you wish to approve me or to blame me, it's all the same. This is Agamemnon, my husband, but a corpse, the work of my right hand here, a just architect. This is how things are.
What evil thing, woman, from both earth and sea, intoxicated you to perform this death rite, incurring the people's spoken curse?
You've deceived us!
Shut us out!
And you shall be banished from this city, heavily hated by its people.
Now your sentence is my exile from the city, and to have the townsmen's hatred and the people's spoken curse. Although earlier you made no opposition to Agamemnon, he took no special account, just as if it were from his teeming, woolly flocks of sheep. When he sacrificed his own daughter, the darling of my own womb, as a charm against Thracian winds. Is he not the one you should have driven from the land in penalty for pollution? But now that you have witnessed my action, oh, you are a harsh judge. I tell you, make threats like those, and I am prepared on similar terms for one who wins by force to rule me. But if my gods ordain the opposite, you shall be taught, late may it be, to learn discretion.
You are great in your plans, arrogant in your talk. It is understandable that your mind is mad from this event, and the gore which drips from it. The thick smear of blood in your eyes is obvious. Retribution is still required. A blow is to pay for a blow.
And now you are to hear my oaths in their full right. I swear by justice fulfilled for my child, by ruin, and by thee, Erinyes. For them I slew this man. For me no punishment stalks at my palace. I am not afraid. So long as fire is burnt at my hearth by Augustus, loyal towards me all this time, he's no small shield of confidence for us. Here he lies, his own wife's abuser. Here, the charmer of Christ's sake, and many others in joy. Woo! And here is the woman captive, both soothsayer and sharer of his bed, the prophecy-telling, faithful whore, working the ship's mast like a loom. The two of them are not without their proper honor. That is why he lies here like this, and she does too, his feisty lover, before singing her last death-laden lament like a swan.
You demented Helen, single-handedly destroying those many, all too many lives under Troy.
Now you've adorned yourself with the flowers of fulfillment. Long to be remembered because of blood, not to be washed away. Strife in this house is ever present, strong enough to subdue this man, a great gift of war.
Do not pray for death as your fate, nor turn your anger upon Helen as destroyer of men, for single-handedly destroying the lives of many Achaeans and causing an anguish impossible to fight.
You demon, who are falling on the house and its two brothers, descended from Tantalus. The power you wield is from women, equal in its temper, a thing which bites to my heart. Over the body it stands like a hostile raven, tunelessly boasting and singing evil in its song.
You assume a correct opinion in your words, calling upon the thrice fastened demon of this family from the fury, a craving to blood afflicts it, while fresh pus is fostered before the old wound has sealed.
Heavy in its anger, for this house is the demon you praise.
No, it is wrong. This praising is wicked, insatiable for ruined success. Oh, great indeed, Zeus, causing all doing.
For what is done for mortals without Zeus? What is there in things here which the god has not ordained? Oh, my king, how am I to weep for you?
What am I to say from a heart of friendship? You lie
lie here in this spider's web, breathing out your life in an undeserved death. Oh me! Your lying here is ignoble, laid low, put in treacherous hand with a double-bladed weapon.
You say confidently, this deed is mine, but do not reckon I am Agamemnon's maid. No! The ancient bitter demon of revenge upon Atreus, the cruel banqueter, has made this man the price. A full-grown sacrifice made over the death of the young ones.
You mean you have no responsibility for this murder? How? How have you none? The demon coming from his father would simply be your accomplice. It's for Ares to bring justice for children devoured.
Oh, my king, how am I to weep for you?
I think neither was this man's death ignoble, nor was it unjust. But did he also not bring ruin on the house through treachery? My child by him, which I raised, the much lamented Erinyes. Her father sacrificed what his actions deserve. He deservedly suffers. So let him make no great boast in Hades, now that he is paid for just that deed, felled in death by the axe.
I am helpless, bereft of thought.
I don't know where to turn now. The house is falling.
I fear the rainstorm will wreck the house with rain of blood. But in aid of justice, for further retribution, fate is sharpening another sword.
Oh, Earth, I wished you had received me here before I saw him, occupying a base couch in this gold-sided bath.
Who will bury him? Who will lament him?
Will you be hard enough yourself to do this? After you killed your own husband? To keen for him? To perform a graceless grace unjustly to his ghost for his great deeds?
And whose task will it be to utter the tombside praise over the godlike man amid tears, with a pure heart?
It is not your business to take care of this duty. From us, he had his fall, he had his death, and we shall have his burial, not to the accompaniment of weeping by outsiders, no. Erinyes shall welcome him, daughter meeting father as she should, from the swift ferry crossing of sorrow, to throw her 2 arms around him and to kiss him.
This is insult matching insult. There are issues hard to decide. The robber robbed, the killer paying, while Zeus remains enthroned. This too remains. The culprit suffers. That is fixed law.
Who is there to expel the curse and its stock from the house? The family is glued fast to ruin.
The oracle you have recited has truth, but I myself wish to swear a pact with the demon of a trade eye to acquiesce in all this. Hard though it is to bear, whilst I should go on from this house to wear away another family with kindred murders. I will be content with even a fraction of wealth this house once possessed, if it is to remove the madness of mutual slaughters from it.
O kindly day, bringing justice with its light! Now at last, I would say that the gods keep watch from above upon the earth's evil deeds as avengers of mankind. When I see this man in the woven robes of the Erinyes as I dearly wanted, he pays in full for what his father's hand contrived. Atreus, his father, the ruler of this land, when his power was contested, banished. My father, Thyestes, his own brother. This is a true account from city and home. By returning as a suppliant to the hearth, the wretched Thyestes was able to find himself security against being killed or bringing blood against his ancestral soil himself, but for his hospitality. This man's godless father, Atreus, eager rather than amiable, while cheerfully seeming to celebrate a day for butchered meat, provided him with a feast from his children's flesh. He broke up small the fingers and the combs of the feet, and Thyestes, seated separately at a distance, at once takes the unrecognizable parts and eats them in ignorance. An ugly meal, which, as you can see, ended the safety for Atreus' line. And then, once he realized the horror of his deed, he cries out. He falls backwards, vomiting the slaughter out. He invokes an intolerable fate upon the Atreidae. His kick, overturning the meal, makes joint sentence with his curse, that thus should perish totally the line of Atreus. That, I tell you, my friends, is the reason for this man's fall, which you see here, and I alone had the right in justice to scheme this killing. When I was tiny, in my swaddling, Atreus expelled me, along with my hapless father. And then, when I was grown, justice poured me back here. I laid my hands on this man from the outside, piecing together every device of evil intent. So now you see, even death is fitting for me too. Now that I have seen this man injustice his child.
Aegisthus! I have no respect for arrogance amid other suffering. Are you saying that you planned this foul murder? That you alone killed this man?
I tell you, in the court of justice, you will not escape the people's curse. For stones to be hurled at your head, be sure of it.
Is this your language? While you sit at the oars, while those at the helm control your ships. Old as you are, you shall know how harsh it is for one of your years to be taught chains, and the pangs of starvation are the most excellent doctors for the mind. Even in old age. You can see. But can you not see this? Do not lash out against the firethorn in case you yourselves get hit. And hurt.
You woman, against those who were newly from the fighting, whilst you kept house and home and violated the husband's bed as well. Did you plan this death for their commander?
Your words, too, are the begetters of tears to come. Your tongue is the opposite of Orpheus's. Nature would follow his delightful tones, but your provocations and your silly yelping will have you led away in bonds. Once under control, you shall appear more tame.
As if I shall see you ruling the Argives. You, who planned death for this man, but had no courage to carry out the deed in killing him yourself!
That was because this deception was clearly a woman's role. While I was suspect's enemy from long ago. Using this man's wealth for good, I shall try to rule over the Argives. Any man who does not obey me, I shall put under a heavy yoke. Hunger will see him weakened.
So why did you not slay and strip this man out of your evil heart, yourself? But a woman did the killing with you, in act polluting land and native gods.
Is Orestes alive somewhere, to return home with fortune's favour and be the all-victorious killer of these two here?
Well, since you think to speak and act like this, you shall soon learn!
Come on then, our band of friends. The action here's not far off.
Oh, come on then! Every man have his weapon ready! Hilt to hand!
Look! My hilt is to hand, and I do not refuse to die!
To die? We accept the omen of your words! We choose this outcome!
No! No! Dearest of men, let us inflict no more suffering. There is enough harm already. Let us bring no further ruin on us. Go to your homes, your honourable elders. Yield to fate before you suffer. These things had to be as we have done them. If there were a remedy for our afflictions here, we would welcome it. But a demon's heavy hoof has so miserably struck us. That is what I say. A woman. If anyone thinks it's worth hearing.
But that these men should glory over me with empty talk such as this, and throw out such words in spite of sensible moderation, insult their master.
It would not be like Argives to fawn upon an evil man.
But I shall punish you in later days.
No! Not if fortune directs Orestes to come here.
I'm well aware that boys in exile feed on hope.
Go on then. Do it. Get yourself fat, polluting justice, since you can.
You shall pay me the penalty. Be sure of it! In return for this foolishness!
Mount away while you have the confidence! Like a cockerel near the hen.
Take no account of this empty barking. You and I, controlling the house, will set this